to Friday Night Pint. I'm back after. It seems like an eternity since I've done this, to be honest with you. How long's it been since I've done Friday Night Pint?
Didn't you?
2 weeks?
No idea. Yeah. Not long enough.
Not long enough, yeah. But I am back. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Happy Friday. It's another bank holiday weekend. I've had a couple of drinks, so if I'm a little bit slurry, please excuse me. But it's not every day you see a coronation. But boys, how are you?
Yeah,
very well.
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Yeah, jolly. Week's over. Working week's over. Looking forward to a nice long bank holiday weekend. Looking forward to see how many different shades of 50 Shades of Nicky we can get through this show as your light keeps playing up and your camera.
Yeah, my camera's bad, man. I don't know
That's
what's
why
going
we're
on. I broke
running
my light
late.
trying to set up tonight, and yeah, the camera's just playing up.
Can't we put him small and us big?
What's that?
So can't we put you small and us big? Like just put you down in the corner somewhere.
How'd you do that?
I no idea. We could do it. We can make you big and us. Oh, no, there now. But then Ryan's small as well. So no.
That's all right.
Oh, yeah. So what we got coming up, Nicky, on the show? What are we talking about today?
No, you tell me.
For fuck's sake, I put it in the chat. So, right, today we've got some big topics coming up, right? The news has been reported that Rob Newman could be set to be sacked in the summer, and Moyes, if he stays, will be removed from his transfer involvement ahead of a disappointing return on this season's recruitment. We're also going to be discussing Danny Ings. Does he have a future at West Ham? There's been a lot of debate over Danny Ings going on, and you know where could the future lie of him at West Ham? We're going to be talking about the Man City game and looking ahead to the Man United game, and obviously taking your comments in between. So so this story's come out, right? As we get stuck in, I see it posted. It was really quite surprising that Rob Newman could be set to be relieved of his duties, terminated, sacked because of this, how this season's gone. And then Moyes, if he stays, will have no further involvement in transfers because he's had final say on transfers. He has been heavily involved in the process with Rob Newman. And really, really strange to me. I think that's completely counterproductive. I don't know how you lot feel about Rob Newman, but I think the players he's identified, I actually like the players. It's just it don't fit to me. It don't fit the manager.
Yeah, him and Moyes obviously ain't working well together. I think with the comments about David Moyes, I think that it's no secret. I don't think he's going to be there next summer. I don't think he'll be our manager next season, whether we win the European trophy or not. But for me, I've always been someone that a manager has to be involved in the transfers because he picks the team. He works with players week in, week out. So he has to be involved. So for them to turn around and say David Moyes is not going to be involved in any... I know that down the years we've seen a lot of managers just get given players and told get on with it. But I don't like that. I like to see a manager, work with the players and identify the players he wants. So if he's not working with him and Rob Newman, I think they'll both be gone in the summer.
Yeah. Go on, Nick. You're muted. Yeah.
Hello? Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, man. Everything's going wrong. I don't know what to think about this, to be honest, because when we got Rob Newman, I was really excited. And I was thinking, he's going to, Man City's head of recruitment and, come with a bit of a reputation. But Man City is not West Ham. And you have to be... When you're a club our size, you can't go out and identify the targets that Man City have got. Yeah, so you've got to think about the size of the club and where you want to be. Man City's already at the top, and they've recruited very few not known players. So it hasn't worked in terms of the partnership. But would I be getting rid of Rob Newman? No, I wouldn't. I'd be getting rid of David Moyes because, you need to have an identity, and that's what we haven't had this season is an identity. We're a one-trick pony. And with Moyes' transfer policy, I mean, I don't trust him. I don't trust Moyes with money anymore, because he's got the best out of really bad players and average players. But if there's any quality that comes in, and I suppose this goes back to Haller, who I'm very critical of, he struggles to manage them players and get the best out of them players. And when you're playing the big money for them, you need to, when things are not working, you need to get the best out of the players that it took 18 months to replace Haller. And if you're not getting the best out of him, then you need to replace the manager or go in a different direction. It depends what you want to do. It depends what West Ham want to do. And we don't know what the future holds for Moyes. He's got another year on his contract here, regardless of whether he's going to be on transfers. And I would suggest if he's going to be chucked off transfers, then it would be a disaster, because Moyes has got very limited or very, very bad track record of managing good players. And we want to try and keep the good players here.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like Moyes, he has one way of playing, one process. And we've seen where this season, with him having a say on transfers, how bad it's gone, with him not being able to get the best out of certain players, and just taking him off it, but keeping him as manager would be even worse. And you know what? I know we're going to take comments in a bit, but I have to highlight this comment from Clarence Booz, because he makes a really good point here. He says Newman hasn't failed. He was mandated to find players to suit a progressive style. He has delivered. The manager can't coach the style. It was all a waste of time. Yeah, obviously that was the plan, to transition from counter-attacking football to a possession-based style of play. Right, that was what we wanted to achieve. That's what the manager wanted to achieve.
I don't think that is the plan. Then I don't think it's all.
Well, Moyes said it's the plan. Antonio said it was the plan. They've said it's the plan. So, and look at the players we got. So, to me, that makes perfect sense. So, Rob Newman goes, okay, we want to play this way. Paqueta, Paqueta is a good player. He can play that sort of style. Scamacca, he suits it down to a T. And then you've got someone like Flynn Downs who can pass the ball. That makes perfect sense. And from what we know and what Nick has just said there from Clarence Booz, I understand that completely. Get rid of Moyes. If you don't want to, if you don't trust him with signings, get rid of him. And this idea of getting rid of Newman and putting it, because a lot of people are saying it's going to potentially go back to Sully. Like Sullivan's going to have say over transfers again. What have we hired Mark Noble for? He's the director of football. He has to be involved in transfers.
But but he has no experience. Like he's come out of the dressing room and he's gone 6 months off. He's got a degree somewhere in Harvard University, and then he's come back and there's a lot of this around the club. There's just people that and I think some of it's good and some of it's bad, because you've got people that used to work at the club and used to play for the club, and they've got these like Colton Cole and Paul Konchesky's who spent a long time at the club or supported the club as a kid. But I don't think that in the Premier League in this day and age that's good enough. You need to go and find, for a club our size, we're never going to be able to, like Man City, we're never going to be able to go and buy, the Sergio Agueros of the world or the Kyle Walkers, who these top players that they identify. I don't know how long Rob Newman was at City, but they go and find. Not diamonds in the rough. They go and find top players that they can, they believe they can get. You need to be going.
As you said earlier, though, mate, if Man City had the sort of money where they can identify them players, so it's about him being identifying players that are affordable and good enough to play in the Premier League. And I think we have identified them sort of players during the summer. We just haven't had the right attack-minded manager at the club. And I think if you bring someone in next season that is attack-minded, you'll see a totally different Paqueta next season. You'll see a different Bowen. You'll see a different Scamacca. I've just been reading before I come in here that they reckon Scamacca's going to leave in the summer. But I think whoever comes in, I'd like to see him get another chance.
Yeah.
I don't think we can afford to let him go. To be honest, we can't afford to take another loss on a player like that and let him leave. You know, like the way Haller left, unhappy and sort of frustrated because Haller was a good player before he came. He was a good player after he left, and he's gone on to play for a top club now. And other players look at them things and think, well, it's not they top players, if they're going to come to you early on, like Scamacca can go and play for a top club, yeah. Like he was sort of touted out by AC Milan and top clubs like that, right? So if every time we get a decent player, they choose us over an AC Milan or something, and they get worse, and it don't work out, or they don't play, or they don't fit our system, so we treat them badly, we won't see another top player come to this club. It'd be very hard to attract them. I think it's hard to attract them anyway.
Yeah, but then to your point about Rob Newman, because I have to massively disagree, because you said we're not Man City and he's used to going after top players, and we're not going to go after top players. Obviously, we went after top players and we got top players. He got them in. It's now Moyes' job to coach those top players and make them work.
As I said, you can have what's the word? You can have top players, but if you haven't got top facilities, top management, top everything, top physios, top coaches, it doesn't work.
No, but that's not Rob Newman's fault, is it?
It's not Rob Newman's fault. But we need to find players that fit our system. Like Scamacca was up. He was well known. He was being scouted by AC Milan, some top clubs in Italy. Yeah, he's an Italian international. These ain't Caicedos or N'Golo Kantes or anyone like that ain't known. They're known players. And the facilities we've got, we can't take top players and the management we've got and make them better. Like that's proven. We haven't. I can't think of a single player. Yeah, we can develop players, I think, but a top player coming into the club, it normally doesn't work. Like Paqueta is just starting to show his worth now, right? He's I was done with him by Christmas. He was poor, but it's all about the management of the players. And Scamacca's been treated appallingly. Do I think he's done himself any favours? No, absolutely not. And I think he will move on in the summer. But I don't want to see him move on. I want to see him succeed. We can't keep on. We as a club of our size, we can't keep on having these sort of players that we pay this top money for, and they don't work, and we keep on selling them on for half the price. We can't afford to do that. So something needs to change.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. We've seen some good players come to this football club over the last few years, but sometimes, like when you sign these players from Europe and overseas and that, sometimes they struggle to adapt to the Premier League as well. That's a lot to take into it. You were saying about Paqueta, about you had enough of him by Christmas, and now he's one of the best players on the pitch. It's about giving these players time. Sometimes they don't set. The Premier League is tough. It's a hard league to play in. Some people hit the ground running, like we was lucky with Dimitri Payet. But could you imagine if Dimitri Payet didn't hit the ground running at first? People would have turned on him. Yeah. It's just we live in a world now where everyone wants instant, and I understand that. Of course, it's the Premier League. It's about results. You've got to win games. But David Moyes, as we all know, is not the right manager now to take this group of players forward. We look like maybe we might be losing Declan Rice in the summer. In fact, we probably will. So they're already got to be identifying who we're going to bring in, who's our targets, who we're going to get in to replace Declan Rice. And if you're going to get rid of someone like Rob Newman, who someone said he was at Man City for 13 years, he was there at the beginning of the glory time for him, and he see it right through to when he left the other year. And look at the players that come through the door at City. You remember when they first got taken over, one of their first major signings was Robinho, and then every year they got better and better and better, but they had the money behind them. That's one thing. I mean, I did see saying today that we're in the Premier League. We've got the fourth richest owner, Kretinsky, 1 billion. So the money's there. It just needs to be freed up and given to the right man. Let's go out and let's identify these players. But we've got to make sure we're a Premier League team first.
I think instead of keep on sort of polishing a turd, mate, I think we need to rip it all out from the ground up. I think the whole club needs a refurbishment because there's bad. Look, the football stadium, whether it's a free stadium or it's cheap or whatever, it's not a football stadium. So to compensate for that, you need.
Well, we say that
really
for
good players.
fans, it ain't, but for footballers, it is. It's got 2 goals and a pitch.
Yeah, but it's. I don't know, mate. I'm still by the stadium. Like there's but I never will be unless they rip it down and build it again. Which, who knows what might go on in the future. But like, it's not a football stadium.
I do agree with you on that. I just want to say I do agree with you on that. But last season, when it was all going well, no one was mentioning the stadium.
No,
it's when it goes bad. And listen, I'd love to rip the place down and build it. I wish they would have picked Upton Park up and flew it over and landed it in Stratford if we was moving there. But that's for the future. Of course, we want to see a new stadium. But I think they don't even have to knock it down. They just have to redevelop it.
But that's the thing. I think the stadium itself is neither here nor there in terms of what we're talking about in terms of recruitment. It's definitely, I think, a fan experience, and it has an effect of atmosphere and stuff like that on the pitch. But it's the investment and the recruitment that we've had and spent all that money, and the fact that it's not come off. And I completely agree with you, Roy. I always believe these players you're coming in from different leagues, you have got to be patient with them, give them time. But when you're doing the recruitment process, you have to understand that that's going to be a factor. So you don't bring these players in and pin your whole season on them hitting the ground running like it seems like we have. So you don't go backwards. There has to be that transitional period where, if they're not hitting the ground running, you can rely on the current team and then have them grow, have them adapt.
It just doesn't seem like we have much future planning. Like last season, we lost a few players, like the likes of Yarmolenko, and this season is going to be the same. We're going to be losing Rice, not through any choice of our own, but it's time for him to go now because he wants to win trophies and he's lived the big life and he wants a taste of that now. But people like Angelo Bonner are going to be gone at the end of the season. Fabianski, as I said, Rice, people like Cresswell could move on or he signed an extension, didn't he? Cresswell?
No, I think he's being rumoured to be offered a new contract. It's not been happened yet.
And these players need replacing, and it's not good to be replacing them all at once. You know what I mean? Like we need to plan it for. Have we got people coming from the academy that can fill that left back spot? Well, I would say Scholes. Yeah. So instead of just rotating Emerson and Cresswell and in bad seasons, you need to start getting in Scholes, just giving like experience of match day squads and give him a couple of minutes every now and then. But if we haven't got anyone from the academy, if there's a position that we need replacing, you can't just go out at the end of the season and throw them out. Chelsea tell you that, Chelsea have needed a striker for God knows how long. They've bought everything but a striker. And I believe that's the way we've been run over the last few years. Like they never identify the real problems. What do we need? We need variety. That's what we need. That's what you need in the Premier League. You need to have so many different plans because people like Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp, they change the way they play. They evolve the way they play all the time. This ain't 1982 where everyone plays 4-4-2 and whoever happens to you used to get fucking clubs that would go to at home on Christmas Day and lose 7-0 and then win 9-2 the next day when they play a couple of days later. Like it's not there's not set ways to do it anymore. Like everything's evolving, everything's a science. And that's what happens when money gets involved and all that sort of thing. And unfortunately, we need to follow the Brighton model because Brighton they are on a cusp of Champions League with no money. No, they've hardly spent any money. They've spent decades in the lower leagues. They've promoted to the Premier League in the last 5-6 years. No money. but they identify. They go out and they think, right, what do we need? What is going to work in the Premier League? I won't be looking at the Rob Newmans that identify someone like fucking, I don't know, Jack Grealish. You know, everyone knows Jack Grealish was a good player. He's an England international and all that sort of thing. But, you know, we want to identify the likes of Caicedo and, you know, who's the guy that just went to Cucurella that was brilliant for them.
Yeah, that's what Brighton do. They'll sell them on. That's what they do. And it'll be interesting next season because Brighton is a good example, but they've not had European football in the season. So it'll be interesting next season when they have to play Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday. You know, they've agreed a deal today to sign James Milner at the end of the season, 36. You know, so but I agree. I like Brighton's model. I like the way they play.
But the model's sort of similar to, I think. Well, it's not because they had a lot for the academy. Southampton's, you know, that's what their aim is. They want to get as high up in the league as they can, and they want to make as much profit as we can. But we're a bigger club than Brighton and Hove Albion. But you know, recruitment and everything else is miles behind them. Yeah. But in terms of attractiveness, we're a big club. We're in London, which is really attractive. But Brighton has become more attractive over the last few years because it's kind of a more trendy place to live. But you know, there's more. You know, for a multi-millionaire, there's more attractiveness to London to get these players over and do that. Right? We're a bigger club. We can go. We don't have to. If you look at the size of the club we haven't sold anyone for profit for donkey's years. I think Payet was one, and Rice would be like, you know, the first one from the academy. And it's gone for big money since Lampard, Ferdinand, Defoe,
Diangana,
yeah, I suppose, Diangana, yeah. But
which by the way was a great bit of business by the club.
It was in hindsight, but you know, I don't know. We don't need to be that selling club anymore. You know, we've got the money. We've been established enough to be, you know, to get this structure in order. Like, why are we not investing money into our training grounds when the like of Leicester is the likes of Leicester?
The thing is, I said to you before that when I went to that event the other week with Carlton Cole, he sort of slipped up that the club are looking to build a training complex within somewhere in Essex, because he was saying the problem with the club is at the moment is you've got 3 separate sites. You haven't got the under-18s training where the first team play. Like back when we used to go Chadwell, the players will be training, the first team's there, the youth team's there, the reserves are there. Someone gets injured, they call over, oh, come over here, Joe Cole, join in. And then bang, then he becomes a first team player because they recognise it. And that is something that they are looking at. It's not going to happen overnight. But if they've got a 5-year plan where they say, right, in the next 5 years, this is what we're going to have. This is what we want to achieve. We want to bring the youth through because we see what the under-18s have done this season. And that is why the club are selling off the likes of Diangana and all these under-23s that they know are not going to make the first team because they're trying to promote this under-18s team and get them through. So in 2 to 3 years, at least 4 or 5 of them will be in and around the first team squad and are ready to go.
Yeah. Well, I think the whole, you know, I think clubs have thrived off of that in the past. And that's why, you know, how can you say that someone won't make it before you've given them a fair crack of the whip, you know? How can you say that, you know, if you're not got the first team manager being able to look over at under 18s or under 23s or under, you know, whatever it is, training, how will he ever see them? You know, he's only going off the advice of people that are there. You know, look at this kid. All right, I'll have a look at him. It doesn't make any sense. I mean,
one thing I would say about some comments.
I was going to say one thing I would say about Moyes is that he does watch a lot of the youngsters and he does go to the games.
He just don't play the fuckers.
He gives them a chance in Europe and in the Carabao Cup. But the Premier League's different. Like it's easy to say, "Oh, chuck them in the Premier League." I agree. When they introduced the extra subs, I think that 2 or 3 of them should be homegrown talent, so they get that match day experience. You can't make 5 subs. If you've got 8 on the bench, just put them on there. Let them have the match.
Yeah, these games where we've been like, where it was like, say 4-0 up against Forest, for example. Do you know what I mean? At that time, why not give Mubama some Premier League experience? But the problem is the European games, for example, like Skulls, like he plays one game earlier on in the European games, and then you don't see him again. And then Mubam will play one game earlier on, and then we got to see him like much later on for a little bit. You know, he got to score his goal. There's no follow up. It's like here's 20 minutes, and then that's it. Just you.
I think if we get our 3 points that we need on Sunday, and that will sort of guarantee us Premier League football for next season, I think that you probably will see a lot more of the youngsters going forward in the remaining Premier League games. Yeah. Not many, but one or two involved, like Mubama. Even Marshall, I think he's in with a shout of maybe getting into the first team.
It don't always work for youngsters. Like I remember us calling for Tony Martinez, but we give him one game or 2 games or whatever. It didn't quite work out for him. He went on to have a very good career in Spain. Very good career.
That's the problem, though. They're only getting one. They're only basically saying, right, you've got 90 minutes to prove to me that you're a Premier League football. That don't happen.
Chance. That's it.
Look,
one chance.
We've had a Brazilian international this season that struggled within the first few games. They don't always make it. So to say to a kid, go on and because I remember when was it Larnaca at home when Scamacca scored and he went off after about 70 minutes and then Mubama come on for him. And Mubama done more running in that 10, 15 minutes than what Scamacca done the whole game because he wanted it. I'm not saying Scamacca had a bad game because he didn't. He played really well, but I want hungry youngsters is what you want in the Premier League and what you need in your squad.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Take some comments then. Garrett Garino says, in my opinion, Rob Newman isn't the problem. The players we brought in last summer are good, in my opinion. Problem is the manager who doesn't know how to use them. Paulie Walnut says, if a manager ain't picking the transfers, who is, or even have a say, loses integrity. Yeah, and I know some clubs do have like what they call a coach, and they're like Chelsea have done it in the past, or Newcastle did it, I think, with Steve McLaren. Like, you're the coach, and we're going to pick the players, and then you manage them. And I'm not a fan of that model.
Man United done it for years, didn't they? They had Ferguson and McLaren, and who was the Portuguese for? Queiroz, wasn't it? Was it Carlos Queiroz? I think it was him. That's what Ferguson used to do. He used to let them coach, and then he would just do the other bits. Yeah.
It's just I feel like you got to have some sort of involvement. It's funny. The other way was Arsenal. Wenger used to be an absolute control freak when it comes to transfers and wanted to be completely just involved and no director of football and all of that. So. Yeah, that's interesting. John McCartney echoes the sentiment that Newman's not the problem. Moyes doesn't use players correctly. A lot of people feeling that way. Drano Hammers, we have a lot of youth coming through. Whom should be taking a couple of seats on the bench? Them to come through what Ryan just said, basically. Thomas says, look at Dortmund. They're going to lose Jude, but they won't get written off because they'll rebuild well and compete within 2 to 3 years. Easier league or not, it's completely about the infrastructure and everything that you have behind it. Is that you know that this player's going and you're prepared and the profile of player that you want to replace them. You've got them identified. Steve Tiley says, if Moyes stays, it will be the same old next season. In my opinion, no room for sentiment. Fab, Creswell, Ogbonna, Antonio all have to be moved on. They cannot be in our team next season, and Souček too. If Antonio goes, Moyes definitely has to go because that's the only fucker that Moyes knows how to fucking manage up front.
I agree with that. I think, the players there. I mean, I think Creswell's going to stay. I think Ogbonna, he's been a great servant for the club. I wish people like Ogbonna would retire and just stay around the club, just to be around the fans in the changing room and that, because they're great characters. I mean, Ogbonna sounds more Cockney than me. I love him. Antonio's been a great servant. Look, whatever you think of him, whether you like him or not, he's been a great servant for this football.
They all come around the same Premier League goal scorer. A long time ago now. 8 years, 9 years.
Yeah, at the club a long time. So, and Antonio's our top goal scorer, so you got to respect him in the Premier League,
and Souček, I mean, look, you never know. A new manager can come in and revive Souček. I don't know who, but someone could come in and revive him because on his day, Souček, he does add a lot to the team when he's on form. I mean, look at last weekend. If I could pick one game to sum Souček up as a player, it was last week. 2 assists, scores, but he still gets slagged off because he give the ball away for their first goal or second goal when he lost it on the halfway line. And but if you look at the stats, you'd have thought he'd have had a worldie.
Yeah, no, I think it's just that it's set pieces. He's always a threat, but just offering something as a midfielder and trying to progress us going forward, it was just he wasn't doing anything. Could have passed the ball.
I think that's one of the problems as well. Is that we haven't got players that keep the ball and can play with the ball. They was obviously working on set pieces in training that week because they've identified that the keeper was terrible at collecting them.
Yeah,
and we are dangerous from set pieces when they can't defend them. But that's not enough to win Premier League games, mate. That's an FA Cup tactic. When you're in League One, hit them with the tactics. That's not good enough to be Premier League quality. There's quality all around the Premier League, and we've got quality players, but we're just not. It's just mixed with too many players that have just outstayed their welcome. That's all it is.
Claret and Booze says, I think it's more about quality of coaching than quality of facilities. Give Moyes and co Spurs facilities, the net result would be the same, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree.
This is what I've been saying for years, especially I've had arguments on this channel about this statement. I agree. It don't matter about training facilities for me. It's about the coaching. And Premier League players now want to turn up and walk into the Ritz Hotel every game. When back in the day, you look at some of the facilities that the players use. I know that you've got to move on and you want it all modernised and everything, but a good coach can take a player over Hackney Marshes and get a Premier League winning team.
Yeah.
As long as he's got the right players and the right tactics. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I think there's absolutely benefits to having great facilities and all of that stuff, and we can go into all that. But the priority and the number one thing does come down to the coaching. Like that, before anything needs to be prioritized, needs to be sorted before we upgrade facilities. I completely agree with what Karen Boozer said. You can give him the top notch. If you can give him Man City's facilities, there won't be any change for Moyes.
I mean, Leicester have got the best facilities in the country, apparently, but where they could be relegated this season.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the thing.
It's a tough one because I was talking about this on a podcast with Brian earlier. We went off tangent. We was talking about something else, and I was saying it's different. It's different times now, And I think you need to have a sort of psychologist to manage these players because these players don't live in the real world. In the old days, you used to have people that used to live in amongst the community. And I remember Chris Hutton playing for us. He lived down near the Beak pub, the Beaconsfield, the Earl of Beaconsfield down West Ham. They don't live there no more. They live in these gated communities that, and they hang around with celebrities and they are basically treated like celebrities. And there's no, you got kids at 17 on more money than me and you would earn in a year.
The thing is as well, though, mate, I agree with what you're saying with the different eras. Is like back in the day, you'd see an ex-player in the pub, you'd say hello to him and you'd move on. Nowadays, everyone's got a camera phone, filming them, waiting for them to slip up. That's why players now go straight home. They can't go out and have them. Look at Jack Grealish, the way he was treated for having a night out.
Yeah,
they can't do it no more.
It does go both ways because they have to seclude themselves because people, but I think that's always been the way. People have a go at them and, people want to wind them up and, the social media times have made it even worse for them because people want to wind them up and get them caught for likes, which gets them banned and they're scrutinising everything they say, even when they're kids and just crap like that. So
we'll have to move on, Nick, because we got a breaking story that has come out, right? I want to get to this now because we haven't planned for it, so we've got to fill it in time. Quickly read El Chico's comment because I did start it and then we'll quickly go on it. Rob Newman has done a good job. The fact that Moyes came out and proudly said Roy Newman told him to get Alvarez before City and rejected him says it all. Yeah, big miss, El Chico. But so apparently ex-employee has just come out and said that Brendan Rodgers and Lil Boss Paulo Fonseca are both said to be mired by the Hammers hierarchy. and could certainly be candidates for the hot seat should Moyes leave the club this summer. Now, they have been linked throughout by certain sources that are a bit sketchy, but that's a pretty good source. Paulo Fonseca, we were actually linked with after Moyes got sacked the first time before Pellegrini. And we were talking to him and Emery, and Rodgers has been linked since he got let go of by Leicester. Both, for me, I'd be happy with either appointment. I think Paulo Fonseca is an exciting prospect. I went back and actually watched my video I did of him the first time around. And, you know, obviously he's at Shakhtar Donetsk, he's at Roma, he's currently at Lille, plays very progressive style of football. And I think, you know, it's time to go maybe down that direction of an exciting sort of younger manager in Europe that hasn't been in the Premier League and give them a chance. You know, before when we had Pellegrini, who'd just been at Man City, then he went to China and come back. And, you know, that I think Paulo Fonseca could be an exciting one and a risk worth taking if we give him the funds and we you know, talk to him about how he plays, what his plan is, and build an infrastructure around that and back him. Yeah, I think he'd be quality.
I agree. I think Fonseca would be a good manager. And the thing is as well, especially if we get into Europa League next season, if we win this Conference League, that will be a massive pull for him. And look, even Brendan Rodgers, I know he got sacked by Leicester, but you look at the job that he done at Leicester Football Club with hardly any funds. He done really well there, and he plays good football. You know, look, don't get me wrong, I can't really go much on his Celtic thing because we could manage Celtic and win everything up there. It's not hard, that league, but to come down to the Premier League and do what he done with Leicester, to win the FA Cup, you know, was a great achievement. And but yeah, Fonseca for me would be a good coup by the club, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy with either of them. What about you, Nick? Any you happy with either of them, or none of them, or one over the other?
Well, how old is Fonseca? 50, isn't he?
He's got to be around 50. Yeah.
Oh, does that? Oh, where's he gone?
He's gone. He's gone to find out how old Paulo Fonseca.
He's kind of trying to get his birth certificate.
He just turned. Yeah, he just turned 50 in March. Well, Nicky won't hear that, but. Yeah, so in Premier League years, you know, it's a good age. It's a good age in Premier League. He's got experience, and yeah, I think that's the route. I'd be happy with. Here he is with Rodgers. He's 50, by the way. Did you go and get his birth certificate, his passport? Ask his mum.
No, I Wikipedia'd him.
So he went off to Wikipedia. 50.
No, so he's 50. Yeah, so. Yeah, I think at 50, I think you've still got. He's not one of the old school managers. You know, I don't want any of these old school managers anymore, because, you know, as I said before, the days of 4-4-2 and go up the chip shop and do all this, you know, is a science.
Funny you say that, because
he'd be a good ventriloquist, Nicky, wouldn't he? He's talking, his lips ain't even moving.
But it's funny you say that, Nicky, because he did operate a 4-4-2 at times at Roma. Not what you'd call that the Big Sam old school 4-4-2. But it's funny, as he can play 4-4-2, but he mainly plays a 4-5-1, I believe, is his main system.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I want to see fresh ideas. Like, you know, Pep Guardiola is a fantastic manager. One of the best that's ever graced the game. He's been manager of probably two of the greatest teams that's ever, you know, graced the planet. Barcelona, where he didn't have oodles and oodles of money. Like, he had enough money, but, you know, Real Madrid are the richer club in that league. But he, you know, he bled through, you know, unbelievable talent. And then he goes to Man City, then you can just buy anyone he likes, yeah? So they've got the talent and Jurgen Klopp as well. I think he's been fantastic. But they've got this philosophy where they're sort of setting the trends, yeah? And they're using sciences and analytics and things like that, where it's not a game of football anymore, it's a game of chess. And they're working, you know, got people working 24/7 around the clock to sort of set the trends and this is how we're going to play, and you can't beat it. We went to City the other night. Let's be honest. People say it's 11 against 11. They've got unbelievable players. They've got a freak of a man up front that can score goals. 35 goals in 34 games. Ridiculous. But they've also got players around him, sort of. They look at everything. Everything's the best money can buy, the best training facilities, the best players, the best coaching staff, the best manager I think he's one of the best ever, because he literally sets trends. It's not just that he's got the money to buy it, because it ain't just about the money. It's about using the money right, which I think Newcastle have done as well. They done what they needed to do to get to the next step, and the next step after Champions League is going to be, bleeding in these world quality signings, and then it may be, changing the manager again to someone that's more, inventive, and someone like Pep Guardiola could go there and do fantastic. But it's not just about when you ain't got the money to do that, you need to get someone that's a student of the game, and not someone that's like, I'm playing this way, whether it fucking works or not. Them days. That Sam Allardyce the other day, when he was saying, he's better than Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp, he's fucking deluded.
He didn't actually say. I think what he said.
He didn't say he was better than them, but he said he's as good as them, and he studies everything in the game. And 15, 20 years ago, I do agree with that Bolton side. He done a fantastic job. But football's an ever evolving thing. That's what makes great managers, is that they don't evolve with the times, and or they don't get left behind. They create the trends. Alex Ferguson was never someone that's going to, he would change games with substitutions and things, but he's never going to be one of them that's going to, get this right back that plays in midfield, like hybrid position where he drops into. He's never going to do that. But he was good at identifying what was going on and coming up with ways to evolve the team and identify, when players were at the end. This is what I'm saying. There was no. With West Ham, you've got Aaron Cresswell still there, fantastic. Aaron's been a great servant for us, but he should have been gone 4 years ago, in terms of his decline. They see the decline, they see that then there's a need for a replacement. Beckham was there from a kid. It was relentless. They just got him out. That's it. He was becoming a little bit. He wasn't working for the team. He was sort of getting above his station. That's it. Gone. See you later. Been here for 20, 25 years as a kid and man, but good for Man United anymore. So you got to identify what's good for them, what's good for them, what's good for the player, what's good for the club, and you've got to go with what's good for the club every time.
So you're saying yes to Fonseca then? That's big, mate. Long way round of saying yeah.
I'm not saying yes to Fonseca. What I'm saying is I'll have to have a look into what he brings to it. Is he a 4-4-2 man, or
no, well,
I'm playing this tactic.
Who would you want? Who's your ideal manager right now? Who, if you said to you, right, Nick, you pick the next West Ham manager, who would you go for right now?
I'll be honest, right? I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you someone that can come in. I could tell you someone that can come in and do well in the short term, but in terms of where we want to be and where we want to go, and if we're back in Europe again next season, and can we compete in that again? I don't know. I don't know who it would be. It would be someone like, Southampton and not so much Southampton now, but identifying Pochettino as the next up and coming manager who's done very well, got to manage big clubs, but they picked him out of obscurity when he was managing someone shite. It would be someone that can completely change the way we think about the way West Ham play. Brighton and Hove Albion didn't get up playing this free-flowing football. They got up by, battling and playing the way that they needed to play to get out of the Championship. You don't get out of the Championship by playing namby-pamby football.
But that's the thing, we're not in the Championship, so we don't have to worry about that.
David says Potter. I would have a go at Potter.
No.
I would, honestly.
I'd rather
Harry O'Brien.
Huh?
Harry O'Brien.
Who's Brian Potter?
Oh, you never seen Phoenix Knights?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, years
You're
ago.
missing out. Fucking. But no, I think
Magnet and Steel.
That's Max and Paddy.
You two are like Max and Paddy.
Paddy and Max.
But no, I think Fonseca for me, what I want to see in terms of attacking football, pressing, high intensity, to me, that ticks the boxes. We already play a sort of a defensive version of a 4-2-3-1. So the transition wouldn't be so bad. It's just getting players in that have more energy, can press more. The wingers are going to be absolutely key. He likes to have his wingers cutting inside. So Bowen, I think, would fit perfectly for Fonseca. And I think this is an interesting point. I just seen El Chico actually was interested. Fowler Fonseca said he didn't take the Spurs job due to the director of football telling him he must play defensive versus top clubs. This is the manager we need. No fear, like Bilic back in 15-16. And that has always been a big criticism of David Moyes, is that when we play against these top clubs, he pays them so much respect, sort of shits himself. And that's where that record comes from, in the Premier League, that he's never beaten one of the top 6 away from home in the Premier League in his whole career. And people
not even with Everton.
Not even with Everton.
He's beaten Man United in the cup, though.
No, but no, in the cup, yeah. But the difference is, and this is a point I made on the show the other day, right? Because people will say that, it's a nothing stat because he's beat him in the cup. In the cup, you have to win. You have to win that game. You can't go and play for a draw away to Man United in the cup. It's win or lose, get knocked out or not. And as Moyes says, and Moyes said in his press conference today, the Premier League is the most important, right? When he asked him about Europe or Premier League, he said always the Premier League is the priority. So he's not worried about getting knocked out of the cup. Of course, he doesn't want to get knocked out of the cup, but to him, he doesn't see it as the end of the world. So you can afford to go for it a bit more and not worry about losing, because you're not losing your status, you're dropping down the table at all. Yeah. That's why there's a absolute reason. Think about all them years. Why the Premier League, no wins, the cup wins. That's the reason. I'm telling you.
Thing is, for me, like if someone said to me now, who would you want right now to come in, who I think would be a perfect fit for West Ham, Premier League experience, is Thomas Frank at Brentford. The way he plays football, I think he's done a great job at Brentford. Whether we could attract him away from Brentford, I think if we could, that could open up doors for us to bring in an Ivan Toney with the money that we're going to get from Declan Rice. Because I think Ivan Toney would be the perfect striker for West Ham, the way we want to play football. And I think with someone like Thomas Frank, the way he plays, and I watched Brentford, and I've always been impressed with Brentford. I think he's done a fantastic job since they've come up last season. And I think he would be a good shout for West Ham, but I just don't know.
It'd be a hard get, yeah.
He would be hard, but I think that, no disrespect to Brentford, but I think if Thomas Frank had the chance to come to West Ham, I think he'd jump at the chance, especially if we've got European football. And honestly, I don't want to take anything away from Brentford, because I think they're a great football club. I think what they've done has been fantastic, and I would like to see maybe someone like Thomas Frank, who doesn't really get mentioned a lot. Everyone was going on about Will Steele a few weeks ago. He's lost 4 in a row. No one even talks about him no more.
A lot of I know.
I'd like to have him because he's something different. It might be people might see that as a risk, a gamble, but I'd rather have a gamble like that than gamble on keeping Moyes, because I think Moyes has been found out. He's.
I think
listen, what I would say about this, right, this season is Europe would have been fantastic, and I really want him to go for the European Cup. I really wanted to, even if it meant we got relegated. Yeah, because football is about trophies. I know you have to be in the top leagues to attract the top players and all that, but I haven't been entertained this season. I haven't been entertained at all. Like there's been times, I've seen Bournemouth away, which was fantastic, and Forest at home. Last 20 minutes was brilliant. The rest of it has been trash, horrible, apart from in Europe. So I do respect that, he can get the best out of the boys in Europe when it's a slower game and, and all that sort of thing. But I do think that, going to like the types of Man City when, look, I don't think you're going to beat Man City. I don't think you're going to beat Man City at all. And I wasn't like disappointed with losing to Man City because
let's go into the review.
Wait. Let me just finish my point.
Jumping the gun.
No. Let me just finish my point. I wasn't disappointed to losing to Man City, but I thought we was toothless that night. I think like the substitutions were terrible, and I know we had to sort of go without Declan Rice and whatever because of illness, but I think we have to learn how to play without Declan Rice. I think he's too reliant on Rice. And I think that showed us, that first half especially, that there is life after Rice.
Yeah, I forgot about this.
It has to be.
That would be our luck, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we sign him in it.
Just quickly, I mean, like Nick, I know Nick's not a fan of the Conference League, but he's saying winning it ain't going to attract the players, but winning it gets you Europa League football, which will attract a certain type of player. So I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, this trophy, but when you're nearly approaching 40 and you've never seen us win a major trophy, it might not be the major of major trophies, but I'll take it. I'm happy. Yeah. Some of us ain't in our 50s like Nick and seen FA Cup wins and
yeah, exactly.
It's all well and good having like these world-class players, but when they're amongst like players that I'm not going to call them shit because they've been very good servants to us, and I never disrespect anyone like that. But Antonio playing up front, he's not a striker. He's not a striker. He can do a job up there, but he's not a natural striker. That's fact. Is he the best we've got in a minute? Yes, it says more about the way we're playing than him as a character. He's been here for 8 years. And
I wouldn't say he's not a striker. I think he is a striker, mate. And
I think he's a certain type of striker.
I think he's proved that over the last 3 seasons, where like he's got us some important goals, especially in that season where there was no fans and he went on that scoring run. And I think when you get the right type of players around Antonio, he's not the best striker in the world. I'm not saying he is, but I think he is a striker. He's a better striker than he is a right back.
But we always, I agree with that. But what I'm saying is, and I'm not saying, look, he's our record goal scorer playing from right wing or right back, and I think he's been a fantastic servant to the club. But the fact that we have to keep on reverting back to him when we've got, the likes of Scamacca and Ings, who has proven over his whole career that he's a natural goal scorer, says more about David Moyes' football and the football we play at the moment than the players that ain't getting games, because he keeps on having to revert back. At the end of the day, look, Antonio, he's 33 now, 32, 33. You can't keep on relying on these players, man. You got to move on.
I totally agree.
Speaking of moving on, let's take some comments and then get to the Man City. Yeah. Irish Tommy says Rodgers is good for a couple of seasons, but would fall off after that. We'd have to be brave enough to move him on before that happens. The board wouldn't do that, though. Yeah, I did speak to a Leicester fan. That's a good point, because look, if we do go Rodgers, if we can get him and he gets us to a good place for 3 years, and then we can progress, sometimes that can be the way to go, and it might not necessarily be our next appointment is this 10-year manager that's going to have this dynasty at West Ham, but just progresses us to a point and stabilizes us to where we can get the next manager up and coming.
Yeah, that's what I think we need to be aiming for. Like, there's just sometimes we let people outstay their welcome, whether it be manager. There's times when they have to go. If you want to progress, they have to go. Like, David Moyes' football is exactly what we needed to stay up, to stabilize, to get us into a good position. But then when it started going wrong this season, like, you're losing 3 in a row with, you spent £200 million on something. You're losing 3 in a row at home to Leicester, fucking Blackburn and whoever. Then it's time to move to the next one. And we haven't done that. I'm a bit worried about the Leeds game, because I think Allardyce is going to be chomping at the bit to get to
I
us.
think David Moyes has got a very good record against Sam Allardyce. And the thing is, that's why they've hired him. They've hired him for that one game. And
Four games. 4 games he's got, and he's going to be.
But really, they've got Man City and Newcastle away next 2 games, so they've probably written them 2 off, hoping for something out of them. The West Ham game is what they're targeting. They're hoping to get 3 points in that game and hopefully still be in and around playing up
because of the trouble they've got.
Yeah, they could get something at Tottenham. Hopefully for us, that by then it doesn't matter to us. That's what I'm hoping, which is better for Leeds if it don't matter to us. And again, we'll touch a little bit on Man United. If we get something there, Brentford, we should be fine by then.
We could relegate Leeds and Leicester.
Dolbster, don't listen to that. Don't listen, Dolbster. You'll be fine, I'm sure. So, he says Rodgers tends to throw certain players under the bus. Did that with Sionchu and Sommer, who recently started playing again. I've never rated that.
It get on well with most of our fan base, then, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, I've never rated that Sionchu, by the way. That Farquhar guy, I've never been a fan of his. Yeah, he looks like that fucking.
He looks like Lord Farquhar, doesn't he?
Yeah. Never rated him, although he did score.
I rated him when he first come, but again, it's probably one of them situations where he works in a certain system, and then either the player or the manager outstays their welcome. And you got to move players on and progress and evolve for your football. Otherwise, you're never gonna. You can't stay still for too long in the Premier League now. There's too many fucking people looking at analytics and you talk about like set pieces, yeah. Over the last season and a half, we've been fantastic at set pieces, right? They're going to have people, all these fucking coaches and everything else, looking at them set pieces that we score from 24/7. That's why we haven't scored as many set pieces anymore. We ain't changed anything. We're still going for set pieces. We're struggling to score goals with the players we've got, yeah, because the set pieces that we were scoring the most goals from last season has stopped working because they've got it scouted. Am I drunk?
I don't know. You know what? Yourself. You keep going back.
Yeah, I know. He just has this ability to go on random tangents from something. We're talking about Sionchu, and he's like, Sionchu.
That's what I'm saying. It all ties into the same thing. The clubs have been in similar positions. Like Leicester
have a broken Nicky.
No, but what I'm saying is the clubs are in similar positions. Like, would Rodgers work at West Ham? Not necessarily, because we've got that. We're in a progressive state. The time to sack Moyes is gone. Like, in terms of like getting the next big thing, we have to start again now. So we have to now go and get rid of Moyes because his stabilisation is gone now. He's been worked out. Like all of that stuff that we've, that they've scouted West Ham and they've got this. I don't know. Sionchu should leave. I don't know what I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm pissed, man. It's bank holiday. I've had a couple of drinks after work, isn't it?
Paulie Walnut says Leicester didn't invest in their squad at all and paid for it. Fell behind. Completely agree, mate. Imagine did Fonseca bringing Jonathan David to West Ham. Yeah, I mean, he was someone I think we really tried to get this season, and it was just a little bit out of our reach. But if Fonseca could bring Jonathan David with him, could be very exciting.
Jonathan David is someone that I've looked at for a couple of years now, in terms of like bringing in. But
would he help us with our set pieces?
No,
Nick. I swear, if you finish with a sentence that David Moyes is outstayed, he's welcome.
No. But what I'm saying is that I don't think he would work in David Moyes' system.
He's not. He's going to come with
Fonseca, yeah.
If it comes with Fonseca, yeah. But there's he's played so well for Lille that there's bigger clubs.
There will, but sometimes again, that's the thing. You get a manager, and if Jonathan David loves playing under Fonseca, and he wants to continue to do so. He knows Fonseca can get the best out of him. It's an extra pull that we didn't have before.
Nicky's definitely on the Spanish measures tonight.
I've had
He's been throwing them Spanish measures, mate.
yeah.
They're Benidorm doubles.
Hell.
We went for a couple of
That's a shot glass.
yeah.
Let's really look at the bloody Man City game. Obviously, we weren't up there, so we haven't really talked about it on this channel. 3-0 away from home. No one was surprised. But I tell you what, right? What really surprised me was that first half. I went into that game just, completely just numb, thinking like, do you know what? We're just going to park the bus. We're going to roll over, we're going to get done. And first half, I was actually quite happy with how we played. I thought we actually pressed them a little bit, and we kept our shape well. We dealt with them, really, really frustrated them, stopped them from finding gaps and getting that space. And we created a few chances. Granted, we wasted those chances, but I was very happy with the first half. I don't know about you lads.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I think that it was one of them games where you just they're going to score. It's just like just trying to keep them out. And I thought we defended well first half. I thought we broke. I mean, we had that chance where Bowen. It was a tight angle. Don't get me wrong, but I think Downs had a decent game in midfield. I just think like it's one of them games. As soon as City scored, it was how many they're going to score, and we kept it down to 3. Haaland obviously broke the record. I said to Nicky before, football's a funny game, innit? He scored his first Premier League goal against us, and he broke the record against us. And I think that someone like him, when you got a player like that in your team, you're going to score goals, and he's just he's a robot. He's a phenomenon. He's unbelievable, and it's a joy to have him in the Premier League. Obviously, I wish he was in the claret and blue of West Ham, but that's never going to happen.
When you look at it, like obviously one of their goals was very lucky, deflected goal. They had a set piece as well, set piece goal. I sound like fucking Frank Lampard. Like a set piece goal, crap goal, lucky goal with him against Palace. But I thought first half was pretty good. But second half, I think there was just certain performances in there that sort of let the side down. I thought Fornals for me was shocking that game. I think he was one of the worst players on the pitch. Some of the lack of quality of his balls he put in, like we was trying to debate when we was watching it. Was it a through ball or was it supposed to be over the top? But he's not got his foot under it or what? But it just went fucking rapid all the way to the keeper. And that was the story.
Shoot, didn't he, from the halfway line? Is
that what it was? Yeah. That's what I was wondering. It was just. It was just poor, but that was the story of his game. I thought the lack of quality from him was poor. The lineup, we're talking about the lineup you alluded to. I was actually kind of annoyed that we didn't rest more players. Obviously, there's the whole Rice was ill, Aguerd was ill. Maybe they are. But I went into that game thinking, right, we're going to lose this game. Our goal difference is like 11 or something, or 12 more than the other teams, right? Or was before that game, like 14. But I would have rested Bowen. I definitely would have rested Antonio, because if anything happens to him or he's knackered, we are fucked, as what was proven when Ings came on, and we'll talk about him a bit later, in this game, because bloody hell.
I would have rested Soufal as well.
Soufal.
And he's injured now. He's out.
Yeah, that's a massive loss. So those players should have been.
How long was he out for? Because I never saw. I saw he was holding his hamstring and that.
Yeah, I think he's out for the weekend. I don't think it's a long-term injury. I think he won't make this weekend. But he'll be, especially in Europe, it'll be a big loss if we haven't got him available. So hopefully he'll be available for next Thursday.
Yeah,
I would go. Do you know what? I would, just for his work rate. I'll give you a little taste of the preview. I would go Fornals sort of fullback, just for his work rate alone. And I would go with. I don't trust any of the fullbacks, mate. I don't trust Johnson the way he's been playing.
What about Kera though?
Yeah, Kera had a really good game.
I think he's been better at centre half.
You'll have Aguerd or Bonner.
I'd rather play Kera at right back or right wing back than Johnson.
I will play Kerr at
Personally.
right wing back. I won't play him at right back.
Would you
'Cause I
rather play
think-
Johnson at right back than Kerr?
No, I'd go with Fornells at right wing back. I'd go with 3 at the back. I'd go with Zuma. No, not Zuma. Bonner, because Zuma's out for ages, isn't he? Kira, and whoever the fuck, Aguerd, I suppose.
If Gued's back, hopefully he's back. But yeah, I just thought Moyes, you know, we was never winning that game. They was always gonna do us. And I think if we'd have just rested a few players, brought on, you know, have Lanzini play. Fornals obviously did play, and then have Johnson at right back, and just try and be compact and stop them and keep the score down. It wouldn't have made any difference to the result. Maybe would have lost 4 or 5-0. Really, is 2 goal difference going to make a big? You know, it's all about Man City.
That's what I think.
I don't think we're getting relegated by goal difference. We've got we've got four points on the other teams. These next few games are crucial. The Man United at home is winnable. Having a rested, fit squad for that is massively important. Because I don't want to get to Leeds and Leicester and their cup finals, right? We also have the Conference League, right? That we still really want to win if we want to play European football. So having these players, and Antonio particularly, he's one of these players where if he's tired, if he's leggy, you're really not going to get much out of him. We need him firing all cylinders. He did sort of sub Bowen and Antonio off earlier than he would have in normal games, but I think a rest for them would have been good. But what sort of pissed me off was these fucking indignant Arsenal fans who were fucking wetting themselves because Rice didn't play, crying and saying they hope you get relegated because we didn't play a full strength side. They don't accept the fact that they've fucked it up. They've bottled the league. They fucking drew and dropped 2 goals from Liverpool. They dropped a 2-goal lead at us. They conceded 3 at home to Southampton. They got battered worse than we did at the Etihad by Man City, got completely dominated. They've already fucked it. So don't put that blame on us. They cried when we played a full strength team against them last season, right? When just before our cup game, they was like, oh, how can they play the full strength team against us? Why aren't they resting players? Now they're complaining that we're resting players in the league. They're fucking mental.
They're a funny breed, Arsenal fans. And I had a go. I got into an argument with this geezer on Twitter saying, he's saying like, we have to do them a favour. We ain't got doing anyone a favour. We you don't have to worry about anyone but yourself in this league. We can't go out and we can't afford to go out and play a full strength team. With these illnesses, we can't afford to go out and play a full strength team against Man City and not only have our confidence dented, but afford to get injuries like we did. Soufal got injured. I don't think Soufal should have played, but Moyes tried to get a balance right. I think he done the right thing, leaving. I don't think I would have left Souček out because Souček I don't think is important to our survival. But
Rice, I would have played him.
I would have played maybe left Antonio to just say he got a little bug or something. Because these are the people that when the game gets tough, they're going to get you, the points that are going to keep you up. And I think the Man City proved that there is a life after Rice. We can defend. And I think that, a little bit of a braver manager, you never know, mate. Like, with Fulham, I know Fulham were at home and that, but look, Man City are a phenomenon. But they do buckle under pressure. You see that against Fulham. Fulham have not been great lately, but they've got little bits of. They've got weaknesses but don't get me wrong. When they get going, they get going. You can't, at this point in the season, you can't stop them. But I do get disappointed that we even with the team we had out, we were just resigned to losing the game. There is no. I think the thing is with I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm pissed. Sorry, but no, the thing is like I wasn't surprised that we lost, and I know it's a difficult task, but I think if we showed a little bit more adventure in the first half rather than just like wait. I think we waste too much possession, and we're not good enough in the final third, even against a Man City side. Yeah, but they're going for it as well. I think that I don't know what the fuck I'm trying to say. Just move on to the next comment or whatever.
Yeah, I
mean, like I was a bit disappointed that we seem to resign ourselves to losing to these teams. It seems like the best we can hope for is a point.
Yeah, but the
best we can hope for is a point now. And you know, with what we've got at the moment, like we've just got individual mistakes all over the place. That's what cost us. Individual mistakes. Again, we defended well, but with a team like with the quality of Man City, it only takes one mistake and they'll punish you. Like that Ings coming on. Antonio was doing all right, but why not try something different now? Why not try something different? Because the same.
Where was Cornet? Where the fuck's Cornet?
Yeah, like,
why can't Cornet get a game?
We're trying to hit him on the break, and right, stop laughing at me, man. I can see you laughing at me, stumbling over my own words. But
fuck's sake,
sorry, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say, like,
we don't worry. We know what you mean.
Individual mistakes. Ings hasn't done nothing lately, right? Ings hasn't done nothing. You're going to bin all these players off, and why not try something different? Like give Mwamba a go. It was only 1-0 when Ings come on, and
and then he give away the fucking ball, and they've scored.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but that was the best football we'd played. At that point, Ings, we was playing some fucking fantastic football. I thought, yeah, we're on attacking, and then give it to Haaland, and that's the difference. That's the difference between them and us is that they only need 1-2 chances, and they knock on the door like they didn't have the answers in the first half, but then second half fucking hell, I've drunk.
Well, look, let me quickly just read this super chat because it kind of goes on to 499 super chat from Cohen969. Thank you very much, mate. Says, great show, even if one of you are pissed. But my main point is I really don't rate Cornet, not up to the grade. I think it's unfair because he had a bad injury. He hasn't been given a chance. And this was a perfect game to start him and give him a chance. But I don't think we're going to see the best of Cornell really, until next season when he's a bit fitter. He's got a preseason in him. He's implemented into the team. I think it's unfair to write off Cornet at this point. Everyone's talking about Ryan.
I think Cornet.
I'm sorry, boys. I'm letting you down.
Oh, fuck. Oh, mate.
Nick,
I'm glad. I tell you what, I'm glad we're not live.
Clara Booth says, "Look, Nicky ain't too pissed. Ryan and Dad ain't pissed enough. Sort it out, lads. Yeah, maybe if we was all on Nicky's level of piss.
Don't forget, this is what this show initially was about. Just hanging out.
We're mates, Friday night pissed. Friday night pissed. That's what we'll call it.
We wasn't allowed at the pub when we invented this show, man. So,
with Cornet, I think Cornet will be. I think he'll come good. I think we'll see more of him towards like the end of the season. I think if we can get a good result against United on Sunday, I think 3 points will see us safe, guaranteed safe. I think with obviously the others that have got to play each other. I think Cornet will be play a big part towards the end of the season, and I think he can play a big part in Europe as well. I think these 2 games will come. I mean, this time in 2 weeks, we'll be sitting on Friday night pint, either all like Nicky, pissed and happy because we're in a European final, or all be pissed and sad that we're not in a European final. So
either way, we'll be pissed.
Yeah. So it's a big couple of weeks for West Ham's, and these next 2 weeks. I mean, I know we've got one eye on the Premier League, but we're all focused on Thursday. I'm looking forward to getting over there. Sell out. It'd be a great atmosphere over there. I think they're bringing 3,000 fans over, so they'll be sold out the away end. It's going to be a great atmosphere, and I just hope that we can go one step further this season and reach that final. And then who knows, whoever we play.
I really think we will. I'm confident about. I know AZ are no mugs, and they've done really well this season, but I think the key to this game is the opposite to what we done last season against Frankfurt, and that's start well at home. We're confident at home in Europe. We've blown everyone away. We've scored more goals in Europe than we have in the Premier League at one point. At the point when we beat Ghent, was it? And we need to carry that on. I hope Moyes doesn't shit the bed for his sake, because even though he's got to leave now, he can still write his name in West Ham history. He can still write.
The one thing going for us with Moyes, mate, is that he's a manager that had a lot of football games under his belt, and he's never won a major trophy. So this will be a big thing for him as well. And if he knows that he is going to be leaving with the football club, he don't want to leave on us. If he can win that trophy, I'm sure he'll do everything he can to win it for us. And I hope he does. And I think the players have to step up as well this time. I think we froze in the semi-final last year. We was a bit tired as well, but I think we've got better options from the bench. Even like I know, and I've slated him as well over the last few weeks. I know Danny Ings hasn't done much, but he could play a big part in this season, especially in Europe. And you never know, he could get us into the final or even one step better and win us the thing.
I just don't think, and this was what we was going to talk about with Ings. We didn't really get time to, but I just don't think. And he has scored a few goals, a handful of goals, so he could chip in with a key goal. I just don't think he suits us. And when I found out he was on 125 grand, I just thought, what the fuck was up with that signing? And people tried to say it was a Sullivan and Moyes. He give it to Moyes. Moyes has been trying to sign Ings for a very long time. He tried to sign Ings when Ings was at Burnley, tried to sign him to Sociedad. Moyes has been an admirer of Danny Ings, but he signed Danny Ings and he don't play to Ings' strength. He just brings off Antonio and goes, right, Ings, you do Antonio's job. If he's doing that, Ings can play a part, but if he just asked to be Antonio, it's unlikely because he's not Antonio. So it's key. But I think Sunday is going to be very critical to Europe, because if we get those 3 points and we are effectively safe, we can then just put all our energy, all our focus and attention into these European games without having to keep one eye on the league. And we've got to try and rotate or hold something back or worry about an injury. Imagine we beat Man United, which I think is perfectly achievable. I watched the game yesterday against Brighton. Brighton battered them. And I know we're not Brighton, but they were lucky. It was just 1-0 in that last-minute penalty, and they've got key injuries, and they've just played that exhausting game on Thursday. We should be up for it. We should have more energy than them. We should be coming out and going for it. This should be a cup final. Win this game. At very least, don't lose. It's huge, and this is going to affect us in Europe, I think. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, mate. I totally agree.
Smash them. That's what I say. And their away record is very bad as well. They've got a really shit away record. So, yeah, I think...
yeah, but usually when records need to be ended, enter West Ham and...
West Ham. I was about to say something, but I'm going to say it off air. I might have an idea there. I was going to throw a little cheeky idea, but someone might steal that. So, yeah.
No one's going to steal our ideas. Never.
No.
Write it down.
Right there, yeah, I will. I'll say it off air. No, it's let's go for it. It's season defining Sunday. I think it is.
I think if we win Sunday, it takes a lot of pressure off of us, and it lets us concentrate more on the European games. Yeah. That's what we need to do.
I agree.
Take the pressure off us. Get 3 points on Sunday. Look, we could even not get a point for the rest of the season and still stay up, but you don't want to take that risk. Definitely not, because you got to. But 3 more points, I think, will be enough. I wish we'd have got them last week, but we didn't. We've lost 2 in a row now, so we need to get back to winning ways. The beating United at home will be a massive boost going into that European game on Thursday night.
Yeah, 100%. That puts us 7 clear of the teams below us. Leeds have got Man City is their next game. Leicester have got Fulham away, and Everton have Man City at they have Brighton away as their next game. So really tough fixtures that you imagine like they're not going to pick up 3 points in their next games. So us picking up 3 points.
Someone done. I didn't read it because I see it literally just before we come on here. But someone put something on that Chelsea can mathematically still be relegated this season.
Yeah,
and
they are so fucking lucky.
I don't think they can.
No, they can. They're not mathematically safe.
They can mathematically. They can still go down.
Yeah, they
I'll
can.
have to have a look at that because
I'm
sure I see a thread on something where they worked out 39 points was just about enough because the other teams play each other so much that
they can go down on goal difference. I think.
Can they?
Yeah, because if you think about it, it's got to be because they've obviously 39 points clear. There's 12 points up for grabs. And then goal difference. They're just lucky because if they was on 30 points now, they're fucked. They're going down because they are by far the worst.
I reckon if they'd have got 35 points, they might have been in trouble. It's a win and a draw away from getting relegated, possibly.
I think they're the worst team in the league right now. I think
they get relegated so we can come on here and go, has anyone seen Jason Cundy? Jason Cundy's hairline. Frank Lampard.
Yeah, that's it.
The Chelsea pensioners.
Pepe DeMarco. Whatever his name is. What is that about?
I think it's the little fucking, what is it, like a duck noise they play?
Yeah, what is that?
When I first see that, I used to think that was Jamie O'Hara again.
Yeah. Yeah, what the fuck was that about? Yeah. But no, listen, we've got a big end to the season. I'm like you, Nick. I just can't wait for it to be done. There's been a lot of football. A lot of it's been crap. But it can end on a high. That's the big thing.
Yeah, our one of our worst seasons in a long time could be one of our most successful in a long time. So, as we've all been saying for months now, if we win that trophy and stay up, who's going to remember where we finished? No one's going to remember where we finished. Everyone's going to remember the night in Prague and enjoy the summer. We've had a long season because it started in July when we had to play the qualifiers. So it's been a long season for West Ham. So. Yeah, let's finish it on a high.
Yeah. The thing is, with people that I know, Nick is not a fan of Nick Tucko that was in there earlier. Not a fan of the Conference League, but I'm a fan of more people playing European competition because look, none of the competitions that are about at the minute are the competitions that people have won in the past. Like the Champions League isn't the Champions League that Celtic won, or things like that. So you have to have these. To have this not Super League sort of thing, you have to have more people playing in Europe, getting used to it, and
There's no West Ham fan out there. Yeah. If we win that trophy, won't be buzzing, won't be on the piss. That would just be sitting on their hands.
There'll be a couple that would like to stick the knife in Moyes. There'll be a couple that were that are disappointed that we've won a trophy with Moyes because they wanted Moyes to foul. And that's,
I think even some of his most ardent critics, right? And Nick Claret Booze, and he's been one of Moyes' biggest critics, has even said he will celebrate the shit out of that trophy. I think
because that's what proper fans do. You can hate players, you can hate managers, but you'll never want this club to not be successful. And that's what true fans do. But as Nick, I do agree with what Nick said. There will be a few people out there that will hurt them seeing David Moyes if we do win it. But even if you don't like David Moyes, you want this club to be, and you want our fans to have. Imagine what that night's going to be like, not only in Prague, but wherever you are in the world, whether you're watching it in East London, in Essex, up north, in America, all over the world where West Ham fans are watching that game, it's going to be massive.
Yeah. But look, Nick's commenting, this was made for money for UEFA. So the Champions League was changed to make money. They want I've said this before. They want the biggest teams, and that's why I fear for Newcastle in the last 4 games because I think they've got some ropey decisions coming.
I think they've guaranteed.
They've done it.
Yeah, maybe Man United then because
Man United, they're in trouble, mate.
They're in trouble, but they could be there. But that's with us. Man United losing last night could be a fucking like a nail in our coffin, really, at the game on Sunday because they want the biggest names in the Champions League. They want the biggest name. They do. They
well,
do.
no, you look at that Brighton game, right? They had so many decisions. They should have had like Casemiro should have got a second yellow, and like Luke Shaw. They had players that should have been sent off, and they didn't. And that red card, that penalty, it was indisputable. There's no way they could not give it. If that was a 50-50, they'd probably lean and not give it. But it was like he was playing basketball and he was defending the fucking net. So they had to. So I completely see it. They will. This is a game. The ref is going to frustrate the shit out of us, and any decisions that can go against us will go against us. We just got to be prepared for that, and we have to do our job to make sure that the ref's not a factor. We don't have to worry about that. We just go out there and we fucking win, and we don't need to worry about shit decisions.
Because they want, as I said before, if you've got a boxing card, you want your top stars on the poster. You don't want them playing in mid card. So they're not going to want the likes of Newcastle going to be the next big thing. Yeah. So they might be all right with Newcastle breaking into the top four, but, not at the, someone's got to lose out. And they Man City, Arsenal, Newcastle, Man United, they're three big names, and Newcastle who are going to be the big name.
Differences with boxing is there's a bit more integrity in terms of you can build yourself up easier. And stop hiding Steve's super chat. I haven't fucking read it yet.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
But
I wanted to see how drunk I looked first. I'm fucking battered.
You can get yourself up there, and you will get the big fights by winning. Whereas in the football, that's it. It's the status quo is set. Do you know what I mean? And they always want to keep them big clubs to big clubs. He's gone to have a lie down or something.
He's gonna be sick.
He's gonna be sick. Yeah,
I'm to see him being sick in the bottom of the screen now.
Fucking hell, it's not even 10 o'clock yet. Steve WHU 499 super chat. Thank you very much, Steve. I was not letting that get put away. Says, in all honesty, lads, I can't wait for the season to end. I think a lot of us are with you.
Yeah, I think most of our fan base is the same, mate. I think it's been a long, draining season. We just want to get it finished and start fresh. Have a nice summer off and start fresh next season.
I tell you what, right? If we win that trophy, Moyes goes, and we get an exciting manager in, we're all of a sudden buzzing for the new season. We're excited.
Sullivan sells up, and
it could be a great summer. We could have an amazing summer after a shit season. I'm just really hoping that that's what it is. We'll party, the summer, all summer long. Please, let's have it. We deserve it. We bloody deserve it. Do you know what? Fucking hell, Nicky's got a preview to do with Scott. That's going to be the best preview ever.
Fucking hell.
We'll be on that preview going, this guy's going to say to say, right?
Hey, I tell you what.
Give me that fucking mic.
He's got legs that don't quit. I got
Look out for the preview this weekend, right? Because that's going to be box office if this shows anything to go by. So
he better not start arguing with me about things, because I'll fucking let me have another drink, calm myself down.
Yourself another scotch.
Yeah.
I'll quickly got the comments about the West Ham Fan TV Friday night post-match pint glass. This is a fucking collector's item now, because there's not even post-match pint anymore these days.
I've got
your deadline glasses.
I've got about, how many I got in the cupboard?
I took 10? This on the Antiques Roadshow, Dan, and they all fainted.
I've got about 10, right? And we are going to bring post-match pint back next season, like properly, regardless of where it is or whatever. But we are bringing it back, and we've got to have enough to have a glass every week, and we've got to have at least 2. I've got about 10 in my cupboard, so we've got to have at least 2 each to
one for home, one
compensate.
For
compensate for breakages and all that sort of thing. If someone smashes one, because accidents happen. We've all done it, but yeah, we've got to have enough so we can have them all the time on our show. But there's a couple left. If you want one, then message me and I'll get you one out.
I think the news people wanted to hear is we're going to be getting him back into production next season, and
Yeah,
I
think we should do some Friday night pint ones as well.
Yeah, I think Friday night pint is a more up to date thing. So yeah, we'll go back to the glassmaker, and if anyone wants a Friday night pint one,
Friday night pint. Yeah, Friday night pint. I love that. You can have a Friday night pint or a post match pint. But if you're playing on Friday, it's
with people saying about the live show. There's going to be a live show. There will be a live show before the start of next season.
And we'll wait until the show's finished to be as pissed as Nicky is, and we'll be even more pissed by the end of the night.
The last one was the best thing I've ever done.
It was great. It was great.
You know, the people, like seeing the people come out, whether they're patrons that got, you know, free tickets, or, you know, people that paid for tickets and brought their, you know, partners along and everything, just to see the people in the audience, especially after such a long time off as well. We spoke after, it was a real buzz. And it's, you know, it's not something that we want to tear the piss out of it, if you know what I mean. Like, we don't want to do it every week.
No.
But it was a cracking night, and it was one of the best nights of my life doing this channel. Just to see, you know, put faces to names, and, you know, people that, especially after that, the 2 years of COVID that we had, or year and a half of COVID that we had, just to put names to people who come part of our community was fantastic. And we're going to do another one, but we don't want to rip the shit out of it. You know, we don't want you to think that we're going to, you know, make it a bit of a cash cow and just charge people for the sake of it. You know, if you're a patron, you do get a free ticket, but we want to try and make it as cheap as we can.
Yeah,
you know,
we're not making any money out of it.
No, we didn't make any money out of the other one. Everything went back into like paying the sound.
Well, that's what you think.
Well, whatever.
No, joking. No, we end up owing money, I think.
Yeah, I think we lost money.
Scott was offering favours in the toilets.
Is he?
What? What happened in the toilet?
Said Scott was offering favours in the toilets.
Basically, he's whoring himself out on the.
He didn't have to do it in the toilets, mate. He'd have done it in the bar.
And I guess you started this one, Nicky. So I want to know what your job is these days.
I'm a taxi driver, and I start my shift at 10 o'clock tonight.
Oh, fucking chow. He had me going.
I thought you'd done AA meetings for
yeah, Alcoholics
Anonymous. My name's Nicky.
Fucking hell. But no, by the way, he is joking. He's not a taxi driver, will not be driving tonight.
I'm going out Ubering in a minute.
Book him anyone.
Before we go, I think we should mention about this 7-a-side summer tournament that's happening. I've seen West Ham have just announced another player, Ricardo Vazte, is pulling on the West Ham shirt again. So I think that's Vazte, Anton Ferdinand, Harewood, Cole, Mullins, Elliot Ward, Jimmy Walker. There's someone else I can't remember now. I'm sure there's going to be a couple more players added. And obviously the manager is Tom Skinner, which, I know a lot of people look at it, but I think that's what the tournament's about. I think every team is going to have a sort of like celebrity sort of manager, whatever. But it's a good laugh. You know, it's going to be old players getting back together, going on a trip to the United States. It's a weird tournament. I mean,
there's £1 million up for grabs.
I think Premier League wise, I think it's only West Ham and Wolves that are represented, but #United are in it as well.
Wrexham, I think, yeah.
Yeah, Wrexham. So it's going to be interesting. Well, Zavron Hines is in it. So yeah, it'd be good to these players getting back together, sharing stories, and enjoying a trip away to America just before, fingers crossed, we're there, the European Cup final. So I think there's going to be a lot of them that are going to be desperate to fly back. But if they win £1 million, I think they can afford to get back. But
you think with £1 million up for grabs, they wouldn't put a joker like fucking Tom Skinner in charge of the fucking team?
I think the players will manage themselves, if you know what I mean. Tom Skinner's just there to sort of for the hype, and good luck to him. I like him. I think not a lot of people like him, but I think he means well. He grafts. I
think he lost a lot of fans with the Pie Capital thing.
Yeah, of course. And I think a lot of people were calling Anton Ferdinand out about that yesterday, saying about going there but he's not going there for David Sullivan. He's going there for a tournament to play West Ham, and on Ferdinand's a fan of the club, and he loves the football club. So it'd be good to watch. I'm hoping that they're going to sort of televise it so we can watch it. So it'd be interesting.
So what? Let's call it out now. Get us out there. We want to broadcast on it. You should get someone, media teams from every club. Every club. I know that West Ham are going to be out there, but fan channels from every club. Get them out there. Fly them out there.
You think they're going to take us?
No, they won't take us, but we can but try, Ryan. You know what I mean?
Can but try.
Get us out there. I want a holiday this summer anyway.
Oh, for that, they're going to do it, are they? Bloody hell. That's not the selling point.
We want to.
You could say
what's
a
better holiday
than
going to watch $1 million tournament?
Yeah, but what you're not telling them what value you bring, just what that value they'll give you. They give you a holiday. What do you give them?
I'll do all the work for them out there to broadcast. Because I'm a professional.
You can't even do the work for us.
Professional. Look at me now.
Yeah, you're gonna get pissed and fucking start fighting Devon Hines.
Hey, I got some stories from Italy, mate. So don't push it.
Oh, no stories.
No, nothing. Dan, you was fucked anyway. You was fucking battered.
Listen.
Dan was fighting 50,000 Lazio fans for a vegan sandwich.
Yeah, I fucking had them all.
Vigano.
Let me tell you a little story.
Oh, Nick, we haven't got time. I ain't got another hour, have we?
Come on, let me tell you a little story. Look, we've gone over the time anyway.
Can I read
Let him read the super chat, Nick. It's
yeah, okay.
50 knock.
Darren Smith, 50 knock, which is, what is it, Norwegian ostrich coin? Whatever that is. Great show as usual, gents. Do you boys talk to the guys at Hammers Chat? Are you all mates? We are all West Ham after all. Yeah, we do. We do talk to the Hammers Chat. I message Charlie from time to time. Gio, we chat, don't we?
I can't.
They don't come to games too much anymore.
Any of them. Can't stand any of them at Hammers Chat. No, I'm only joking. No, we do. We get on really well with them. I speak to Gio quite a lot. Yeah, I haven't seen Gonzo and that for a little while, but yeah, we all get on well. They're a good channel, you know. So yeah, we're all mates.
There is always time for story time.
We've had a few shots on the Hammers Chat boat, so yeah, nice. Yeah, good. We all get on.
The thing is, we get on, but you know, you would see like Gio come on here at time to time, Gonzo's come on here at time to time, podcast, but we're all trying to make our own content. So we're busy, man. Like, you know, match days are content days. You know, they don't come as much as they did. You know, would have come 3 or 4 years ago. You'd have found us all pissed up before the game in the boats but no, we're all trying to make content now. So
let's. I'm just going to message Scott and let him know to pour himself a coffee, and Nicky's going to be while he's telling the story.
Okay.
Come on, Nick. You got 2 minutes to get this story out.
Right. So, right, this is typical Nicky, right? Typical Nicky. So next week, I am taking my son to Paris. Yeah, it's been something that we've been talking about for a few years. And I wanted to take him for his 13th birthday because I think 13 is a special birthday. Yeah, but he's always been like he's really got into football last couple of years. Last 2 years, he's like understanding the game and he's really like taking a real interest. Yeah. And he's always been obsessed since he was about 7 with Ronaldo and Messi. Yeah. So he's been to see Ronaldo before because he comes to the Premier League, but Messi's been a bit of a difficult one. He's always wanted to go to Barcelona. And we've always put it off. But it sort of coincided with fixtures, but I didn't realise it was European fixtures, so I missed the Brentford game. We're going over to Paris next week. I'm going over there to see myself because I've never seen him, and take my son to see Leo Messi. Yeah. And what the fuck? It's just my luck, right? That I've put it off for years and years and years. I've never seen Messi play. He played at Upton Park once, and I never went. Yeah. I always thought to myself, yeah, I'll see him at another time. You take it for advantage, right? And my son has been asking me for years to take him to Barcelona. I didn't do that. So Paris, I finally found out that he was in the last year of his contract, Messi. I've got people that work for Paris Saint-Germain have set up this game at the end of the season, and the this is just my luck, right? This has been booked for a couple of months now. And he's gone to fucking Saudi Arabia and got himself fucking suspended from playing for Paris Saint-Germain for the last like two games of the season or whatever. And so we've paid all this money to go to Paris. It's the only time he's ever done it in his whole career. He's been a model professional his whole career. And fucking hell. Do you know what I mean?
Don't worry, mate. He'll be in the Premier League next season.
Did it make any sense?
And blue.
Wait, are we what? It's finished.
Yeah, I'm struggling to get my words out, Dan. That's the thing.
Basically, Nicky's he's been waiting all this time to see Leo Messi. He books it, and Messi ain't there.
Oh yeah, what's that?
He's
been
suspended.
sacked
He went
or
to Saudi Arabia with no. Like, I watched the game. I remember, like, because I've been keeping an eye on PSG just to see, like, if there's injuries or anything, like when we go. And it's my boy's birthday, and it's in the last, like, you know, next year we're gonna have to go to Saudi Arabia to see him, which is, you know, it's just not worth it to see that sort of football. You know what I mean? So Paris is the closest he's ever been to us. So I've booked the trip for us to go, and he's not going to be playing because he's fucked off to Saudi Arabia. The only time he's ever done that sort of thing in his whole career, he's been a model professional his whole career, and then the last sort of the time when I've booked to go and see him, he starts to fucking basically fuck about, and yeah,
just your luck, isn't it?
My whole fucking trip now. It's cost me £800 that trip.
Well,
who they playing?
I don't know.
He didn't even know.
It's not the point.
They're not playing Marseille, are they? You might see Payet.
No.
Oh yeah, at least you get to see
no, it's not
Payet.
Marseille. Someone that I don't even think I fucking remember that. A JCO or something like that.
To be fair though, Nick, he'll probably be wearing the Man City blue next season, so you'll probably see him twice next season, so he'll be spoiled for choice.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
He won't be. He's going to Saudi Arabia, mate. He's been sponsored by them for years and years and years. The money won't. The money will be too much for him to turn down at his age. Bit like Ronaldo.
Yeah,
he's overrated anyway, mate. poor man's Mark Noble.
I've always thought that Ronaldo was the better player until the World Cup, and I saw him, like, the way he changes games, and like they're just different. They're different players. They're different. They're the best of their era for different things. You know, if you want to see pure football, it's Messi. Like, genius is Messi. If you want to see hard work and determination, it's Ronaldo. And I think we've been lucky to see them both. But I've seen Ronaldo play several times, you know, when he was younger and then when he came back. But Messi, I've never seen. And I just wanted to say that, you know, when you talk to your grandparents and that, they say to you, like, I see Pele play. You know, you're lucky to see that. I saw Bobby Moore play. I saw, you know, all these legends play. So I think it would be something to tell your grandchildren, because they'll be etched in history, especially Messi, as one of the best ever. And you've got to say you've seen them both play. So I paid £800 for me and my boy to go and say we've seen Ronaldo and Messi play. But fucking, he's been suspended because he fucked off to Saudi Arabia without any permission.
Look on the bright side, mate. You're in a very elite club that used to see Jordan Hugel scoring a West Ham shirt in a friendly.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we did see that, mate.
So you can have your Messi and your Ronaldo. But when you got Jordan Hugel scoring at Dagenham and Redbridge, that's what the fans want, and that's what the fans deserve.
There you go. We'll tell our grandkids that tops the Messi story.
I saw Neil Mellor score 2.
So did I against Crystal Palace at home.
Yeah.
Oh.
I saw us beat Brighton, and when we get to my grandparents' age, we still want to beat Brighton probably.
Yeah, that's a good shout. 6-0.
Vaz scored a hat-trick that day.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of PSG, I see on Sky Sports News earlier, their fans were protesting outside Neymar's house the other day. They want him at the club.
We'll take him. Take him at West Ham.
Yeah, we'll have him on loan.
Yeah, why not?
Another bench warmer at West Ham.
I'd love to see Neymar under David Moyes. I'd love to see that. I'd keep David Moyes just for the banter of...
He'd be the best left back we've had.
Fucking hell. Well, there we go. We better get to it, as Scott is patiently waiting for Nicky for the preview, which
I'm an
will
hour
be
late.
out an hour late. So
I'm
yeah,
fucked. I don't know how I'm going to do this, to be honest.
it's going to be brilliant. It's going to be
I think I might
listen.
sit in the bottom and watch.
Yeah. I think that's it. I can't wait for that. So listen, if we've had to deal with you, Scott's got to deal with you. So thank you so much for watching. It has been a great episode. We've had a lot of good stuff to talk about. Nicky's been a highlight tonight. And listen, look out for the preview. It's going to be a good one. Man United. We're going to be there. All the content as usual. And podcast. If you're locked into our Patreon, or if not, you want to give it a go, see what you think. Nicky does have a podcast that he's recorded with Brian. That is up.
He's our new host.
Brian. If you know Brian from the Fan Cams, very well spoken guy, knows the game inside and out. Brilliant guy. Is the new co-host for the podcast. Does a brilliant job, and that is available now. Nick,
It will be in the morning, yeah.
will be in the morning with a hangover. Right, okay.
No, I've done it already. I've done it when I was sober.
And can we just say as well, God save the King, Coronation this weekend. Looking forward to it.
It's Coronation
Have a nice
Street
bank
on
holiday.
tomorrow.
No, it's the Coronation, mate. It's this country is just, we haven't had one for 70 years. We're probably going to have two in the space of a few years, but look, whatever you think of the royal family and that, it's a great. I love seeing you. Look, in the last year, we've had the Jubilee, obviously the Queen passing away, and now we've got this coronation, and the country always pulls together. And it'd be an interesting weekend. I know that there's a lot of people against it, but look, whether you're against it or not, don't be against the people that want to enjoy the weekend. That's what I'm saying.
There you go.
Exactly.
There
I'm
we
enjoying
go.
it already.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it's only Friday, so Nicky's going to have a great one.
Well, regardless of whether you want it or not, you're getting an extra day off. So just be grateful for that, if anything, and enjoy yourself. And
let's
don't be a killjoy, man.
Is this a permanent bank holiday, by the way? Like every year we're going to have this.
No.
Fucking stingy bastards.
And we get a rare occasion where we play a 7:00 kickoff on a Sunday, and we ain't got to get up for work the next day, and we can have a good drink on Sunday. And it's what the new king would have wanted. West Ham to get 3 points, and we all get pissed. Nicky started a bit early, but that's what Nicky's doing it for king and country.
God save the king and all that.
God save the king, Nick. Here.
What are we saving him from?
Listen, we had King Ralph once. Now we've got King Charles.
Give me King Ralph.
Nicky message Messi. He may have meet your lad if you explain the situation. Oh, yeah, I'm sure he's going to come round my house.
Oh, could you imagine?
Imagine that if he turned up at Wickford.
No, to be fair, though, don't ask, you don't get. You know what I mean?
What am I going to do, man?
Well, just DM him, say,
chance is gone, mate. I'm not going to Saudi Arabia, that's for sure. Unless he's playing for Argentina still when he comes over here, I'm not going to see him play. No, he's my boy.
He played at Upton Park, didn't he? That time.
Yeah, and I didn't fucking go because it's one of them ones where you delay it and delay it and delay it, and you think, he's got years left. He's only 22. Now he's fucking 47, and he's going to go and play in Saudi Arabia, and you're never going to be able to say.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's get to Scott because he's probably.
I have a blue house with a blue window.
He is watching. I've messaged him to let him know you were running late. He's like, I know I'm watching, so he knows.
He's probably fucking messaging you on the slide, begging you two to come on.
Scott, we're putting Nicky in an Uber now and sending him straight over to the preview. We'll make sure gets there safely. Nick, put your seatbelt on in the back, mate, and don't talk to the driver.
No, I won't.
Wind him up.
Or be sick in his car. So yeah, thank you for watching. Look out for the content preview podcast on Patreon. One thing left to say.